Schuyler Management Corporation Board of Directors meeting. Glad you're here. I'd like to welcome Kevin Eunice from ESD, who's here with us. Emily is here with us as well, as she was earlier. And Bob Gear, thank you for being here with us as well, representing the SUNY Poly Foundation. I'd just like to make sure if there's any conflicts of interest that the directors identify that conflict now, and we'll ask to make the appropriate disclosure and then ask you to recuse yourself in any of the discussions. So are there any conflict of interest identified? Okay, let's move on to the approval of minutes from the July 19th board meeting. Those are in your possession. You can read them over. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes. And then any discussion that might ensue after that. So is there a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, Ken, thank you. Second?
Second.
Kristen, okay, thank you. Any comments or corrections or additions? Okay, terrific. Okay, I'd like to now report on the audit committee. As mentioned earlier, Marty Dunbar, who just gave us his presentation on KPMG's work. The audit committee met on August 7th of 2017. And we recommended the board engage KPMG to do the financial audit for the year ended June 30th, 2017, and those statements that are included as part of that. Marty Dunbar, who serves as the audit partner. He's no stranger to Fort Schuyler and Fuller Road, and he will be leading this audit, as mentioned earlier, with the audit team. I'd just like to ask for a motion to authorize the president to engage KPMG to audit our financial statements for the year ending June 30th, 2017. So okay, thank you. Second. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Or nay, or abstain. Okay, thank you. And Marty, thanks again for joining us here at this meeting. I'd like to now turn over to Kristen Proud, who's going to cover resolutions number 164, 165, and 166.
It's really just it's a special case, that third bullet, authorization.
Okay, that's just an authorization for equipment purchase. Okay, so I'll turn it over to Kristen, and you can take us through.
Thank you, Bob. The resolution 164 and resolution 165 are authorizations by the board to now enter into the contract stage related to awards or selections that had been previously approved by this board in prior resolutions. So I think this shows that we're making nice progress in getting some of these projects really rolling along. Just by way of background with regard to resolution 164, Norsk manufactures aircraft components out of titanium using additive manufacturing or 3D printing machines. In July 2015, this board approved the undertaking of the development, design, construction, and fit-up of a facility located in Plattsburgh, New York, to house Norsk USA's based manufacturing and business operations, and the related acquisition of property and equipment. Thereafter, the board approved the selection of Whiting Turner as the preferred candidate for the construction contractor, and EYP as the preferred candidate for the architect. And subsequent to that, ESD authorized a grant in the amount of $4,050,000 for pre-construction planning and design in furtherance of the project in Plattsburgh. In August of 2016, to enable Whiting Turner and EYP to begin various pre-construction activities that included design and planning for the project, the individual who then served as general counsel to the corporation signed a notice to proceed with Whiting Turner authorizing expenditures in furtherance of the project not to exceed $1.67 million. And thereafter, the Fort Schuyler board approved resolution 153, which increased that expenditure limit from 1.67 million to the 4.05 million. So now this resolution would have the Fort Schuyler Management Corporation enter into a contract with Whiting Turner, and we anticipate receiving grants from ESD to cover the costs of that contract.
Any comments, questions? Okay, so we introduced the resolution. Are there any, no more comments or questions? I'd like to ask for a
I'm sorry,
motion.
just a
You have a comment?
question on the actual resolution. It says of approximately 170,000 square foot manufacturing facility. Should that be 100,000 square foot manufacturing facility?
The original was 170 and resolution 123.
So this
And
refers to the original resolution?
It does, yes.
Okay.
Then later on, it was changed to 100,000 square foot facility, yes.
See Resolution 161 authorizing a change in project scope to include a new approximately 100,000 square foot facility.
Got it.
You got that clarified?
Thanks.
Okay. Any questions,
I
comments?
got one quick.
Yeah.
You had
Okay.
said that ESDC is expected to authorize the approval of this. What happens if this contract gets signed and ESD doesn't approve it?
No, I think this grant money's, well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Not much, I don't, what do you mean we're expected to approve it?
Well, it's the term that somebody said was, I thought that this was, you know, kind of,
Anticipates that Fort Schuyler will be receiving grants from.
There's already been a grant.
It's already-
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, that
Yeah,
word
I
kind of
think
threw
they've
me.
already, yeah.
So it's already been
The
approved.
money is available.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought.
to be
yeah,
used.
Yeah, the
Just wanna
money's-
clarify that,
yeah.
that's good.
We authorize it on a as-needed basis, so our board approves the overall, and then
Then you take.
Yeah, when you get
Dispersed
the
as
dispersed.
appropriate.
Once our
Yeah.
contract is approved,
Right.
then you'll be able to
Right.
disperse, so we can disperse.
That's fine.
Okay, so.
If I could ask one more question, it
okay,
is
sure.
related to Franklin. So as a matter of form, the contract though would have a contingency in case there was some problem with grant flow or something like that?
Well, again, I think the question that the board asked last time was they wanted some cap in case there were issues so that we would have to come back to the board. So if
Right.
you read in here, and I think Kristen alluded to it, I think that this goes up to cannot exceed $41.8 million. And if they were to exceed the 41.8, they'd have to come back to the board with an explanation as to why.
Yeah.
And the 41.8 is certainly within
The
grant amount.
Okay, good. Sorry, Bob.
Oh, no, that's fine, Ken. Thank you for your questions. Okay, so I'd like to ask the board to approve Resolution 164.
Wait a second.
Is there a motion? Okay,
That's second.
okay. All those in favor, please say
Aye.
aye. Nays? Abstentions? Okay. All right, I'd like to ask for a motion to introduce Resolution 165, which Kristen will review with us, which is a contract with the Pike Company for work at Quad C. Kristen?
Thank you. So in addition to an RFP for the clean room and tool installation work, Fort Schuyler Management Corporation, in conjunction with SUNY Poly, issued an RFP for the design and general construction work at Quad C. There were 10 firms that participated in the prerequisite project conference and site visit to discuss the scope of work. And of those firms, 2 submitted responses, the VMJR and the Pike Company. Following a rigorous evaluation process and consideration of all the criteria outlaid in the RFP, the 7-member evaluation team unanimously recommended that a tentative award be made to the Pike Company pending Fort Schuyler Management Corporation approval. On June 28th of this year, by Resolution 160, our board approved the award to the Pike Company and authorized management to enter into contract negotiations with the Pike Company. So we are now at the stage to seek authorization by the full board for the president and/or the treasurer to enter into a contract with the Pike Company for this project in an amount not to exceed $3 million, with the guaranteed maximum price established upon further development of the project's scope and design. And if there were an occasion for the amount to exceed $3 million, it would be subject to further board discussion and approval.
Motion to approve the resolution 165 as presented.
Okay. Second? Any discussion? All right, I'd like to ask for a vote to approve Resolution 165 with ayes, nays, and abstentions. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nays, abstentions? Thank you. Next item is item C, authorization for equipment purchase for AMRI in Buffalo. I'd like to ask for a motion to introduce this, a ratification of a contract and I'll turn it over to Kristen, who can take us through what this is. So let's first, a
So
motion was
moved.
approved, right? Yep, okay. Kristen,
So
over to
this
you.
authorization that we're seeking is for the purchase of a water supercritical fluid chromatography, or SFI, instrument for Albany Molecular Research, Inc., or AMRI. It's for the lab fit-up in a building in Buffalo. This is the final equipment purchase for this lab, with the contract value of a little over $609,405. The procurement was completed prior to our new procurement guidelines policy, but there is a single source justification, and it is based primarily on standardization at AMRI on Waters SFC technical superiority, and I think AMRI has presented a strong case as to why this particular piece of equipment is the right piece of equipment, and why it is necessary in order to complete the lab fit up in the Buffalo building. I mean, it's, as you can imagine, it's a very specialized
Yes.
piece of equipment that is not something necessarily that would be procurable from a variety of sources.
You pronounced that whole string of letters perfectly.
And I think, not to complicate matters, but again, most of the purchases for this facility were made prior to the reconstitution of the board. But to be, compliant with board rules and bringing you all of the stuff as we get it, this was a late purchase to that project. So we felt, so significantly more money has been invested at that facility. This is the final tool purchase.
I completely understand the rationale that, this equipment would be so specialized, you don't want to have something that doesn't already match what you're using, but what is our normal policy with regard to sole sources, cap or otherwise? Is there a cap for that?
Well, there's a cap at the low end for sole source, and
Yeah.
that's one rationale for doing sole source. And I don't want to pretend to be a procurement expert, even, on TV, but there are other rationales for doing sole source, and I think Kristen did a great job of outlining what one of the others are, which is very specialized
Right.
equipment, which can't really be purchased in any other form or format. And again, there are a set of procedures that the procurement people go through to make sure that they're following those guidelines.
This is Franklin, you would know probably this space as well as anybody, right? This is a single source contract.
It's a single source, yeah.
Right, rather than a sole source. And the single source argues that while there may be more
Other
than one
manufacturers.
type of, one entity that makes it, there's something similar to this. This is unique because of, I don't know the particulars here, but the nature of the relationship, the nature of the work that's going on there. So while there may be other people that have similar equipment, this is unique for,
I'm assuming from what Chris said, it's compatible with.
Correct,
AMRI.
that's really the key, is that it
base.
is standardized to the other equipment that AMRI has already used to fit up its laboratory facility in Buffalo, so it's important that this piece of equipment be able to complement the other
Exactly.
equipment that they're currently using there.
sole source means nobody else makes it.
That's
Single
right.
source means this one's unique for some reason, although the other folks might make something similar.
Okay?
I have one other question. Is this is the final purchase or final equipment acquisition? Does this close out a capital grant associated with this project, or are there other expenditures non-equipment related?
I didn't think so.
So this
But
would be it?
I mean, I'd have to check.
We're very close to closing out.
Okay.
There are some smaller things, but, so it's not completely closed, but it's very close.
Tom, did you have any on this one?
Just what Scott said, there's a few more things to do that we're settling up. It's very close to closing.
Okay, any other comments, questions, or thoughts? All right, I'd like to ask for a vote to approve this authorization of equipment for purchase for AMRI in Buffalo. Do Do I need a second?
Second.
Okay, any more comments, thoughts? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, abstentions? Okay, thank you. Now I'd like to turn over to Bob Megna for Resolution 166, in recognition of the service of Mike Efke on this board.
As many of you probably know, Mike has, for business reasons and other reasons, he was getting very busy. He unfortunately had to step down, but he was a founding board member of Fort Schuyler Corporation, and he provided significant service over a long period of time, and so we wanted to recognize his contributions. We have a special resolution that we have prepared. I will read a small part of it. Whereas with the leadership and contributions of Mike Efke as a member of the board of directors, the corporation achieved significant progress on the development of the now completed Quad C building and the expansion of corporation initiatives throughout New York State. The reason I mention those is, given where Mike was from, those were achievements he was particularly happy to have achieved. And so it closes by saying, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the corporation as follows. The Board of Directors hereby acknowledges the valuable efforts of Mike Efke as a member of the Board of Directors for the corporation and extends its gratitude for his service as a board member since the founding of the corporation and his leadership of and guidance to the corporation.
I'd just like to make a comment if I could.
Sure.
Before we vote. So Mike really served this board with great distinction, and we have to sort of remind ourselves this is a volunteer army, so to speak. And he was a volunteer, and it was his contributions were terrific, and I'd also like to thank him personally as well for his contributions. And quite frankly, the rest of the board members, thank you for your continued contributions to our board. Remind everybody that we are volunteers. You are volunteers in this service, so thank you for that. And thank you to Mike.
Yeah, I know Mike was very proud to serve on this as a SUNY Poly alum. I think he had he really felt a special type of reward for participating in this, and it's really happy where he was able to see it through, to see Quad C completed and occupied, and so I know he appreciated it.
Yeah. Any other comments or thoughts about Mike? Okay, I'd like to ask for a vote on this motion to approve Resolution 166 with ayes and nays, so. Second? So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
With great enthusiasm, that is approved, and for gratefulness for his service. Okay, let's move on. Any new business? Does anybody have any new business? Okay, anybody in the public would like to make any comments? Anybody here? Our next scheduled meeting will be determined shortly, probably. And I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. And thank you for coming, and thank you for your service and time.